So for some of y'all, school is almost in session. I know of a friend in Indiana who started school in the first week of August. Because of this occasion, I feel that it is apropos that we once again go off the beaten path. What's up, everybody? We alive. Yet another day above soil. You heard me correctly, y'all. We're gonna go back to school. And today when we're going off the beaten path, I'm gonna tell y'all about my experience in becoming a substitute teacher. I know for a fact that there's going to be some people out there who are thinking about becoming a substitute teacher. I'm going to give y'all my honest opinion. I would say 110% do it. For me, becoming a substitute teacher was a very, very, very positive experience. Now, before you make that decision, I want to give you insights on how I became a substitute teacher and why I did it. So this is why I became a substitute teacher. Have you ever had the feeling that something really bad was gonna happen? Like you have that gut feeling, it would make you queasy, it would make you sick at night, you would lose sleep, and a whole bunch of other unnecessary stuff. Yeah, I had that feeling at one point before the second time I got laid off. The first time it was unexpected, but the second time I had a feeling, I had a premonition that it was going to happen, and I had to do something. So before I got laid off, I had to think of a plan of contingency. So I was like, okay, oh my God, what am I going to do? When is this going to hit? What's going to happen? Before I go into panic mode, I knew that I had to stop and I need to think about other alternatives. Like if your house caught on fire, you would need to find multiple ways to get out of the building. And sometimes people freeze, they flee, or they fight. You can't really fight fire unless you have a lot of water and a lot of other people to put out the fire. You can most certainly flee, but some people, they get so scared that they freeze. At that point, because I had gotten laid off before, I wasn't going to freeze. I had to do something about it. So I was reaching out to my family. Fortunately, I was close by. And I knew of a lot of people who were a part of the Baltimore County public school system as teachers, as administrators, and as other substitute teachers. So basically, the people who work for Baltimore County public schools, they influenced me to just apply. And at that point, I didn't really have anything to lose. So I just put in my application and I waited. So I applied to be a substitute teacher because I didn't want to go through so many hoops when it came to applying for unemployment, waiting for my unemployment pay, and if I would get unemployment. It's just because I wasn't in Maryland, I wasn't working in Maryland for a long time. I worked in New York for a while. So I was not about to collect unemployment and I didn't want to sit around and do nothing. So really, I didn't have anything to lose. And hear me out on this. If I was going to become a substitute teacher, at least in Baltimore County, I was going to make more money as a substitute teacher than if I was going to collect on an unemployment check. So it was either I was going to stay at home and feel miserable and not make as much money, or I was going to go to somebody's school, go to somebody's classroom and influence the kids and then make more money out of it. So let's think about the pros and cons of it. Let's be real. As of August of 2023, substitute teachers, Baltimore County, get paid a little over $20 an hour. There are some places where they make more money. Unfortunately, there are some places where substitute teachers make less money. If I'm not mistaken, the neighboring county, Carroll County, they make less. but I was just gonna apply and see what was going on. So I went on something called Kelly Services website. Baltimore County Public Schools used to have sole propriety over the substitute teachers, but then Kelly Services brought it out, and now Kelly Services was running the whole thing. So I put my application on Kelly Services, and they're doing their thing. In order to be a substitute teacher, you would need a few things. You would either need a bachelor's degree, you would need 48 credit hours at a college and a high school diploma, or I think there's an exception if you've been a school aide before. But those are some of the credentials that you may need to become a substitute teacher. And you're going to need to do your homework on the jurisdiction that you apply for, because every single jurisdiction may have a different standard. But I know for Baltimore County, you either need a bachelor's degree or you need 48 credit hours of college and a high school diploma. There may be more, and they're always in the constant state of flux. But because I had my bachelor's and master's degree, I just went ahead and I applied. They asked for a copy of my transcript from college, my grad school, the diplomas, at least a picture of the two. They asked for a criminal background check. They checked my fingerprints. Yeah, they did the whole 9 yards. So then came a virtual interview, a group interview. It was myself, a few people who were also in their 30s. There was some people who looked like they just graduated from college, and there was a lot of people who were retired. I remember there was somebody there who was a retired nurse. So it was a very, very diverse group of individuals who was doing this group interview. So I went on, I did the interview. They were like, okay, cool. If you want to continue as a substitute teacher, finish these training modules. So I did the training modules, and they're like, okay, congratulations. We want you to start as soon as possible. So go ahead and do your background check, get your fingerprints at this one location in Hunt Valley, and then give us the details, and then you'll hear from us soon. So I was like, okay, cool. So I did all the do-these. I watched all the training modules, and I was like, okay, now what? So I was at Stickerism, the shop that myself and my mom operate as of today. And I was just sitting there chilling. I get a phone call from somebody from Kelly Services, and they're like, is this Mr. Spriggs? And I was like, yes. Who is this? This is Kelly Services. We've noticed that you haven't started any assignments, and we wanted to know if there was any way that we could help. So the reason why I wasn't starting to take assignments was because, honestly, I was a little bit apprehensive. I was apprehensive because I wasn't in a school, like a high school, a middle school, or elementary school for a long time. Heck, I knew for a fact that if I wanted to be a substitute teacher, I wasn't about to be in an elementary school, because honestly, I needed to work on my filter. And if my filter wasn't there when I was around kids who were between K and 5, there was probably going to be an issue. But I knew that if I was at a high school, the high schoolers would be a little bit more chill, and I would need to be a little bit more gritty anyway. And plus, with high schoolers, that was close to the population of kids that I was working for when I was working for colleges. So I told the lady, hey, I have premonitions about this. Yes, I went through all of y'all's training modules, but I'm still apprehensive. I don't know if I'm ready to start. I mean, is there a way for me to just shadow somebody and then to start? They're like, oh yeah, sure, but all you gotta do is just start. Get a feel for it. We know that it's your first time, and from what I've seen in Baltimore County, people are supportive. So let's start small. So we started small. She started to break things down in simplest form. She wanted to start small. She said, okay, let's start. Where do you want to work? I wanted to work on the northwest part of the county. So what age? Do you want elementary school? Do you want middle school? Do you want high school? Do you not have a preference? I said, I have a strong preference for high school, because I used to work for college kids, and if I go to an elementary school, I would feel like I'm like a fish out of water. So before I even think about going to an elementary school, I want to at least see how middle school is first, or at least go to a high school. And she was like, oh, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to go to elementary or middle school. Just try high school for now. And then she asked, is there any subjects that I prefer? And I said, anything with words. I can do English. I'm good with art. I can do social studies. I could do speech and debate. I could do health. Something that has nothing to do with, I don't want anything to do with numbers. No math and no science. And as y'all can see, I'm not the most in shape person at all. I don't go to Brick Bodies. I'm not going to Planet Fitness. I may need to, but my shape is round. I'm big boned. So it's probably not a good idea for this guy right here to do phys ed, because it may require me to run. And if you have a whole bunch of high schoolers who are running around me in circles, it's probably not a good look. But yeah, she had a good laugh at it. And she was like, okay, Mr. Spriggs, we have this assignment, this assignment, this assignment, this assignment, and this assignment. So I was still apprehensive of taking it, because there were some people who knew in my family that I got hired as a substitute teacher, and they started to give me recommendations of places to go and places to avoid. A lot of the places that the person from Kelly Services sent me were places that my family and a lot of people said to avoid. So I was in a pickle. Do I go to some of these schools that I personally haven't been to and roll the dice, or do I just not substitute teach? So here I am. I got laid off. I've got no money coming into my account. I got to do something. So I chose a school that was close by, but wasn't as rough as some of the places I knew. There's some places in Baltimore County where let's be real. I'm not going to touch them with a 39.5-foot pole, and today I still wouldn't. But there's other places who I think aren't going to be that bad. So I went to one of those places that was kind of mid. And this is where I'm going to get very candid. If you go to a high school, you're going to run into places that are mid. You're going to run into places that are really, really, really nice and prestigious. And then you're also going to run into places that are extremely rough. And I'm going to break down what that means. When I say it's mid, you know, you might run into people who are very rowdy. You might run into kids that might want to pick a fight. You might want to, you know, perceive things with caution with those places that are mid. You never know what you're going to get into anywhere you go. But generally, the places that are mid, it sort of has a rhyme and a rhythm. It's got some kind of commotion. If you go to a place that is rough, this is what I mean by that. Anytime the students have to walk through a metal detector to get to their classes, that's rough. I'm just being upfront and honest with you. If you gotta go through a metal detector and to avoid anybody from carrying some kind of piece on them in an educational environment, I'm sorry, but that's rough. But then you also have some of the places that are really nice. The building is new. There's a freshness to it. The staff is nice. They've got brand new books. They've got motivation. The kids are friendly. It's just all good all around. Those are some really nice places. So the first place that I went to was mid. Here's how things went for my first day as a substitute teacher. I went in, I was wearing a polo shirt, pair of khakis, a nice pair of shoes. I had a jacket on, I got me my water. You're gonna need your water because sometimes the water fountains aren't the best, and sometimes they're in the middle of testing the water supply. So you'll need your water, you'll need to bring your lunch because they may give you a lunch voucher, but you don't know the quality of the food that they serve in them cafeterias. So your best bet is to bring your own lunch, and I'm glad that I did. So I got all my stuff. I got my laptop because I was going to work on a few things between classes or on my break. And I went to the school, went to the front door, I buzzed in, boop, and they were like, okay, who is this? This is Mr. Spriggs. Okay, come on in. Click. The door opens, I go into the main office, and I'm like, hey, my name is Mr. Spriggs. Okay, sir, may I see your ID? Give them my ID. They take a copy of it. Okay, here's your badge. They give me the attendance sheet. I'm like, whoa, okay. Okay, let's start off a little, let's slow down a little bit. Let's slow down. And they're like, oh, what seems to be the issue? Okay. So this is my first day of being a substitute teacher ever. And they're like, congratulations. Oh my God, you're gonna love it so much. But I must say, if you have any issues, they may come up. There may be some instances where the kids get rowdy. If they do, please call this number. Here's the emergency procedures. In this folder, you have your attendance sheets and you also have passes. If somebody needs to go to the restroom, you give them a pass. I was like, okay, cool. So I figure out the schematics of the building, I find the classrooms I need, and I'm on my merry way. So the way the day is for high schools in Baltimore County, they run on 4 periods, and each period is an hour and a half. They have period 1, period 2, and during period 3, they have their lunches. They have A lunch, they have B lunch, they have C lunch, and in some cases, they may have a D lunch. The lunches are somewhere between 25, 30, 35 minutes long, and then students would have 5 minutes to get from the cafeteria to their class or go from class to class. So these periods tend to be a little bit longer. When I was in high school, I went to a private high school and we had 8 periods, and each period was 50 minutes long. So that was a little bit of a culture shock to me when I went to these high schools. But honestly, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't. Now, when I went into the high school, I knew for a fact that these youth, especially your middle and high school students, they will feed off of your energy. They will. They will know if you're upset. They will know if you are nervous. Even if you don't say a word, they will see your body language and they will feed up on all of it. So I was trying so hard to not be nervous, but there was a group of students who noticed and they're like, oh, you got this. We fine. You fine. Just do your attendance and you're going to be all right. So I did the attendance. I give them the work. There's some people who did the work. There were some people who was on their phone playing games. So as for the students who were on their phone playing their games, I said, don't you have any work to do? And they're like, yeah, I'm doing it. Hey, do you have any work to do? Yeah, I'm doing it. If I have to repeat myself, I'm going to write notes for the teacher. And that's what I did. I took the attendance. I gave them the work. And then if there was somebody who was being disruptive or they had questionable behavior, I was writing it down. If there were students who were very helpful, very resourceful, and all in all, they were really nice, I was going to write that down too. Teachers really like that. And if anything, if I were a teacher and a substitute teacher was giving me notes as to how the class went, I would feel kind of happy about that. So period 1 came and went to period 2, did the attendance. I gave the students the work, and then class ended. I went to my 3rd period class. I had lunch. Rinse and repeat. Then I went to the 4th period class, did attendance. At the end of the day, I took everything back to the main office, and they said, okay, Mr. Spriggs, we'll see you soon, bye-bye. I went home, and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to my family about this. So at the end of the school day, I was talking to my mom, my dad, and my nephew about how it all went. So they were just asking questions, hey, how'd it go? And I was like, you know what? It ain't bad. I think I'm going to try it again, but next time I want to try a different school. They're like, okay, that's cool. I'm just worth another shot. In all honesty, my first day of substitute teaching was fun. So after my conversation with my parents, I started to sign up for a few other places that were kind of mid. So then I started to look at Pikesville High. Yeah, I was a substitute teacher for that school, and there was a teacher who was out. She needed to do something, and she came back at the end of what she was doing. And she was seeing, okay, how did things go? I gave her a full report of how things went, and she was like, thank you very much. I'm going to put you on the call list. Now, if a teacher tells you that they're going to put you on the call list, you did something right. It's a privilege that somebody would say they're putting you on the call list because you did something right. And in an educational environment, there's a lot of trust. When you're working with students, when you're working with kids, you got to expect the unexpected.
When I say expect the unexpected, if you're expecting the unexpected, is the unexpected the new expected?
I'm just saying.
At the same time, you've got to create a level of trust. But anyway, this teacher put me on the callback list, and as soon as that happened, I felt so good because I felt that I did something right. After long periods of time where I felt like I was doing something wrong, it was just a lift up to see that I did something right, that there was peace on earth, and that something good came out of a situation. So from that day on, I started to sign up for even more places. I went back to Pikesville. I went back to Owings Mills. I went to places like Newtown. I went to places like Hereford, Delaney, Towson. I went to Franklin. I went to other places. And honestly, I started to experiment on something because there were some family members who said, don't go here, don't go here, don't go here because those places are rough. So I said to myself, some of the places that they already suggested, they said were rough.
I survived and I'm fine. I'm breathing. I'm talking to y'all today. So are they truly rough?
So I experimented. I took an assignment from a place that was quote unquote
Rough.
I mean, one of them places where they had metal detectors and they were trying to make sure the kids didn't have a piece on them. So I was okay. I was a little bit apprehensive because I knew that this place was rough. I had my premonitions. So, I walk in with my lunch pail, my water, and I was wearing my polo. I walk up to the buzzer.
We don't start school until 7:30.
Oh, but I'm a substitute teacher. Click, the door opens. And they're like, oh, okay. Who are you? I'm Mr. Spriggs. Oh, well, hello, Mr. Spriggs. We don't start until like 7:20, but you can go ahead and have a seat and wait. I was like, okay, cool. There were some kids that were a little bit rowdy, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. I thought I was gonna have to fend off a few people, but if you are a substitute teacher, do not touch any kids, do not touch any students. You should not get physical. If you feel that a physical altercation is about to happen, you're going to need to call somebody and report that to your reporting agency, whether it be the public school agency or Kelly Services or whatever services that are out there. Do not put yourself in harm's way. But anyway, I did the attendance. I was signing the students in. I gave students the assignments, or I said, okay, your work is on Schoology. Schoology being their learning platform where the teachers put the assignments and readings on the internet and the students look for their assignments on Schoology. Some people call it Blackboard, or some people call it Blackboard. Some people use Moodle. Other people use something called Edline. I remember when I went to high school, I used Edline. But anyway, most of the time, your teachers are going to say the schoolwork is online. So I told that to the kids, and I was just watching them. And the day ended, and I'm still alive. And this was
A rough
school. But it was cool. It was cool. If anything, the person who was in charge of supervising the subs was like, I'm going to put you on the call list. So I'm like, okay, so I did something right. I did something right, and they're inviting me to a place where there's a lot of trust. So I sign up for more assignments. I got efficient with it. I would go in Thursday or Friday night. I would choose my assignments. I would text my mom, my dad, my sister, my schedule. I'm here Monday, I'm here Tuesday, I'm here Wednesday, I'm here Thursday, and I'm here Friday. And then I could say, I'm going to pick my nephew up because I'm close to this place, I'm close to this place, and I'm close to this place. And then I would plan out my outfit. If I went to Franklin High, I would wear blue. If I went to Milford Mill, I would wear green. If I went to Owings Mills, I would wear brown. If I went to Pikesville, I would wear purple. If I went to Delaney High, I would wear red. I always wore a person's school colors. Even though I didn't technically work for that specific school, I felt that it was in my best interest to wear that particular color because it helped me to blend in and it made me look like I was a part of the community. That, and it also gave that thought process of, I care for you, I care for your community, I care about your school pride, so I'm wearing your colors. Some people picked up on it, but most of the time they didn't. But it's just the little nuances that really count. And if I'm getting put on the call list, I'm doing something right, then maybe I should keep doing it because consistency is key when it comes to leadership. So all in all, here are some of the reasons why I liked being a substitute teacher. People were really nice. They were really polite. They said, "Good morning, Mr. Spriggs. How are you doing today?" And when I'm having small chat, they would remember things about what's going on in my life. I'll remember things about what's going on in their lives. I've met some really, really, really cool people along the way. I didn't really have to deal with a lot of BS in some cases where you may go to one particular office and then you have to navigate If you went to a school and you just did random schools, it's just for that one day and then you go home. And then another thing that I liked was there was kind of an ebb and flow. I had some sort of routine. I wake up early, I get dressed in the school color, I prepare my lunch, I go to the school, front office, I buzz in, I get the attendance sheet, go to class, do the attendance, watch the kid, go through 4 periods, turn the folder in, leave the school, go home, rinse and repeat. That's all you gotta do. I thought being a substitute teacher was not strenuous at all. Yes, there were situations where kids got rowdy, but all in all, I thought it was a very, very fun job. I chose my schedule. I was interacting with the kids. Sometimes I made a very, very, very positive outlook on the kids' life. I talked about LGBTQ terms. I talked about time management. I talked about life in general. I talked about life in college. I thought I was making an impact on these kids' lives. Yes, some kids were rowdy. More likely than not, I was inspiring youth because these kids are like a sponge. They will absorb everything, especially from the authority figures, whether you're positive or whether you got a chip on your shoulder. You don't know what these kids are going through in their everyday life. And if they have a substitute teacher, that's a little mini break from reality from that hour and 30 minutes or that 50 minutes that they're there with you. Some people may take advantage of it, but they might feel relieved that somebody who is not a teacher is there. And sometimes that's when they could let their hair down. But don't let the students take advantage of it. Know that you have boundaries, know that there are rules, state those rules, and then the students would follow suit. And if they don't follow the rules, write notes of it. Just write the notes. here are some of the things I didn't like about it. When I was working for high schools, I only worked for high schools. I had to wake up really, really early. Like, it was ungodly early. But at the same time, I got used to it. I got used to waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Waking up early really did hit different. And some schools are further away. Like, there was this one school that was 30 minutes away. I was like, okay, this is a nice place, but I don't know if I want to drive that far. Some schools were in pristine condition, but then there were some places that were rough. In some cases, I noticed that there was a big disparity between some schools. Some schools were really nice. Some people had really, really, really nice staff. Some places were really mid, but there are some places that were rough. Granted, all the places that I went to, the staff was really nice and accommodating, but there are some places that were just rough. It was to the point where I actually thought about becoming a high school teacher, and I wanted to make a difference within the public school system. If there are people who are watching this who are a part of the Baltimore County public school system, I feel for you, and I want to advocate for you. I want to make sure that there is equality within everybody's educational system, because I feel that when somebody goes to a school, an educational facility, they're there for a very long period of time. Most of the time, they're in school more than they are at home. And depending on their background, depending on where they're going to school, it could make or break a person's success. And that's just how it is. That's the plain truth. And I feel that it's important for the kids to get an even piece of the pie. Everybody should get an even shot at being successful, no matter where they go or how they get to that place. That's just my straight up opinion. But honestly, being a substitute teacher, I felt that the pros heavily outweigh the cons. There are way more good things about being a substitute teacher than things that are not good. I could go on for days about being a substitute teacher, but at the end of the day, you're going to be the one to make that decision. I will say that if I do get laid off again, or if when I get older and it's time for me to retire, I'm going to substitute teach again, because that was probably one of the best jobs that I have ever had. Yes, it may not pay as much. Yes, I had to wake up early, but I felt that it was so much fun doing it. If I was to do it full time and they paid more, I would do it every day. Honestly, I would be a substitute teacher every day if those were the stipulations. 100%. But anyway, that's my spiel about becoming a substitute teacher. If this video influenced you to be a substitute teacher, or if you live in Baltimore County, I'm going to put within the links below, within the description, how you could be a substitute teacher, and many other resources about becoming a substitute teacher, because honestly, I thought it was a fun gig, and I want y'all to have fun doing it too. Ladies and gentlemen, before we part ways and leave, I have a relatively important question to ask of you. If you went to sleep tonight and you wake up the next day, would you truly be satisfied with the life that you live? If your answer is no, then it's most definitely time to do some soul searching and think about some of the changes that you need to make with your life. I say this because there's a lot of things within our society that discriminate. Death, however, it doesn't discriminate. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for watching my content. If this is your first, second, third, or whatever time, hit that subscribe button. It's right down below. I'm going to share the links to my Instagram, Stickerism's Instagram, Nowhere Collective's website, Nowhere Collective's Instagram, Stickerism's website, many other things within the description. If y'all want to be a member of the LDX family, all you gotta do is hit subscribe. We're still greatly on the road to 500 subscribers, and I would love for y'all to come join us. We have lots of fun on this channel. I leave you all with much love, good spirits, and vibes. Until next time, I see y'all later. I'm out.